Okay. First time that I've gotten to use this. So
And
there we
last.
go. I'm done with it now. Okay. Calling the meeting of the Select Board to order for May 20th, 2024, 7 p.m. in the high school auditorium. There's a couple other committees that need to call to order as well, School Committee and Finance Committee. So it looks like we have the Finance Vice Chair getting up.
I call the meeting of the Finance Committee on May 20th to order.
I call the school committee meeting to order on May 20th.
Okay, we have a few items to get to first, and then we'll move into, well, I know the reason you're all here, the Memorial Day event schedule.
No, I know why you're all here. You're all here because I'm going to be chair tonight, and you all came to support this.
Yes, let's start with the Memorial Day support. The Memorial Day event celebration. So on Monday, the 27th, there's a Memorial Day celebration in the town. There'll be a parade from 9:30 a.m. It forms behind the police station, and it starts at 10 o'clock. We get to town offices about 10:15. We're not a fast group. Then there'll be a ceremony in front of the memorial in front of Town Hall. At about 11:30, the ceremony ends at the cemetery. So do we move to the cemetery? So then a piece of it will move to the cemetery after it concludes at Town Hall, and then that will wrap about 11:30. In case of inclement weather, we will be in the high school auditorium. Okay, that was the first page turner. Now the next item we have. I'm going to make a motion. This is the reorganization of our board. I'm getting out while it's the best time to get out. I move that the board vote to appoint Ellen Rosenfeld as chair of the select board effective immediately.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. All in favor? On the board only, don't all you vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Passes unanimously. I'll make another motion. I move that the board vote to appoint Aaron Underhill as vice chair of the select board effective immediately.
Second?
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Passes unanimously. Well, I don't think I should nominate myself.
I move that the board vote to appoint Craig Schultz as clerk of the select board effective immediately.
I'll second that, and then you call for the vote.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, I'm officially done.
Okay. The next order is approve and sign Memorial Day proclamation.
Yeah. All right. Now I'm stepping firmly into my role as clerk, which I wish we'd reorganize right after this. But anyway, this is a proclamation from the town on Memorial Day, and we're going to read this, then we'll sign it later. Proclamation. Whereas Memorial Day, originally called Decoration Day, is a day of remembrance for those who have died in service of the United States of America. Over 24 cities and towns claim to be the birthplace of Memorial Day, while Waterloo, New York was officially declared the birthplace of Memorial Day by President Lyndon Johnson in May 1966. It's difficult to prove conclusively the origins of the day. Whereas they put it in this cursive writing here. Whereas regardless of the exact date or location of its origins, one thing is clear. Memorial Day was born out of the Civil War and a desire to honor our dead. It was officially proclaimed on May 5th, 1868 by General John Logan, National Commander of the Grand Army of the Republic, in his General Order Number 11. The 30th day of May, 1868, is designated for the purpose of strewing with flowers or otherwise decorating the graves of comrades who died in defense of their country during the late rebellion, and whose bodies now lie in almost every city, village, and hamlet churchyard in the land. He proclaimed the date of Decoration Day, as he called it. The date of Decoration Day, as he called it, was chosen because it was not the anniversary of any particular battle. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Millis Select Board do hereby proclaim Monday, the 27th day of May, 2024, as Memorial Day in the town of Millis, and urge all citizens of this community to join us in the support of Memorial Day.
I move that the board approve and sign the 2024 Memorial Day proclamation as written.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, so we'll have to sign that afterwards.
Okay, we ready for the next piece?
All you.
All me. Okay, so the next item on the agenda is to discuss and possibly vote on a request for a Proposition 2.5 operational override. Are you,
May I?
Yeah.
well, yeah, but I have a whole, I'm going to be a few minutes. So
Okay.
It's my time to shine, people. So, we are here to consider a request by the school committee to hold a special town election to consider a Prop 2.5 override in the amount of $1,070,767. Moving forward, I'm going to call it just shy of $1.1 million. For the school only. We will open up for public comment in a few minutes after some background information and some rules of engagement. First, how did we get here? This board, under Craig's leadership, in collaboration with other town departments, began talking about an override as early as December 2022. It was evident even then that the school department was not going to receive any additional funding from the state, and that the shortfall would be similar to the shortfall from the previous year. It ended up being slightly more. It went from $960,000 to slightly less than $1.1 million. Since the funding provided to the schools a year ago was a one-time infusion, and the shortfall did not go away, this board began looking at an override as a solution. It was also decided to address long-standing deficits in other areas of town government to fund some positions that had been dropped from last year's budget due to additional funding to the schools. This board, again, in collaboration with other departments, decided to put a Prop 2.5 override in front of the voters. $1.4 million in total, slightly less than 1.1 for the schools, and $300,000 for police, fire, and DPW. We felt that this was the best for the town and its citizens. All of the particulars about this override were put on the town website and disseminated through various channels. This process is not new. It repeats every year in Millis, and probably repeats in every town and city across the Commonwealth. The result is not necessarily an override, but the process of getting there is. This process includes collaboration with other departments, boards and committees, budget reviews, public comment, preparing a warrant, presentation at town meeting, maybe a ballot question, and voting. And everyone is invited to participate at every stage along the way. An override itself requires a two-step process: a town meeting vote and an election with a ballot. Both pieces require a simple majority. Town meeting was held on May 7th at the school and was attended by 427 residents, which is large for Millis. Article 3, the budget, and Article 4, the override, both passed without requiring a standing count. The election was held less than a week later. On May 13th, 2,092 votes were cast. This included mail-in and absentee ballots. That represents approximately 30% of the registered voters, which is pretty robust considering there were no contested races and it was an off-cycle election. The override failed by 8 votes. Turning the page. Which brings us back to why we are here. Whether or not we should consider a special election Prop 2.5 override in the amount of slightly less than $1.1 million for the schools only. This would affect the average household by an increase of approximately $315 a year in property taxes. The board has agreed to hear comments from the public regarding this request, but I have some rules. We are allotting 35 minutes total for public comment, so please be concise. Each person is allowed 2 minutes. Craig has a timer, and I have a gavel, and I'm not afraid to use it. New information only, please. Do not repeat information already expressed. We get it. Most importantly, if you haven't listened to anything else, please. We are not here to discuss the merits of the proposed new override. The only difference between the proposed one and the original one is that the municipal piece, the police, the fire, and the DPW are not part of this request. The funding is only being asked for the schools at their request. The funding amount for the schools has not changed. It was slightly less than 1.1 million a week ago. It is the same amount now. Therefore, since the merits of the original override have been discussed, debated, and settled, there is no reason to relitigate the needs for the school override. So please, limit your comments to whether or not you support a special election to consider this new override. That is what is before us. If it were to be argued that removing the municipal needs significantly changes the tenor of this new override from the original override, I would argue that such a significant change would mandate a complete resubmittal, starting with finance, select board, public comment, placement on the warrant, and town meeting vote. The same process that the original override went through. That is my opinion based upon the normal process for appropriations. My personal opinion is to convey how disappointed and disheartened I am that we've reached the point of pitting department against each other. We shouldn't be blaming the loss on the need to fund DPW and public safety. The message being that the town's needs don't compare to the needs of the schools. This is exactly why this board decided to vote it as one article, because we represent the whole town and all of its residents. No one knows what the results would have been without the municipal piece. It could be argued that the spread would have been much larger without it. But I do know one thing. One's prosperity does not depend on the other's poverty. It doesn't have to be win-lose. It can be win-win. Okay, done with that guy.
I thought you were going to page 3.
I've got to go to page 3, which is to open.
Yeah.
So now we're ready to open. If you've heard all that and digested it, it's a lot. Take a moment. We are now ready to hear public comment.
Do I need to say my name and what
Yes,
street I
please
live
state
on?
your name and address. Thank
Okay.
you.
My name is Robin Briggs. I live at 8 Pine House Road. I speak to you today representing 3 crucial roles in our community. Firstly, as a parent with children in our school system. Secondly, as an educator with insight into challenges of maintaining excellence in education. And lastly, as the chairperson of the Millis School Committee. As you can see, I've just come from coaching my daughter's softball team. As a parent, along with all other voting parents, we hold responsibility of ensuring the best for our children. They're the ones affected by the budget cuts, yet they have no voice in this. Our children have thrived academically and personally thanks to our outstanding staff and diverse programs. Cutting these programs to address shortfalls would severely impact our children's educational and personal growth for years to come. Tonight, I stand just 4 weeks shy of completing my 19th year as an educator. Public education is invaluable to our children. Recently, in my district, I participated in interviews for a retiring teacher's position. Most applicants were let go due to budget cuts. This is the current reality. Just last Monday, Superintendent Mullaney informed our staff of job cuts in Millis. As positions vanish, teachers are already seeking new opportunities. Delaying a special election risks losing these educators permanently. We cannot afford to wait until November or May for a revote. Timing is critical. Hiring in December means half the school year is lost, causing irreversible learning setbacks. We owe our children the best education now. The time for the school override special election is now. As the school committee chair, I represent 1,200 students in Millis. Our middle school's academic improvements were substantial after implementing extra ELA and math classes. Now, due to budget cuts, we're losing crucial teachers in these subjects, jeopardizing future test scores. Additionally, significant cuts in Unified Arts, PE, and the Vital Bridge program at the high school threaten student support systems. Without these interventions, students may face deep learning gaps, potentially leading to costly out-of-district placements. These programs aren't just expenses, they're investments in our students' futures, saving money in the long run. We can't afford to lose them. We ask the select board to please vote to hold this special election for the school-only portion.
Excuse me. She's the chair of the school committee. She's an elected official. We're giving a little latitude on this one, as I would with the finance committee, or if the planning board chair wanted to wait.
Come on, people, I'll give you a little chance to speak. Settle down.
I'm great. Never been that.
Continue, please.
Okay. We ask the select board to please vote to hold special election for the school-only portion of the override for the amount of a little less than 1.1 million as soon as possible so that our children in our town may continue to provide the best education for our school-age residents. We owe it to our children to keep providing an excellent education that they receive in Millis, as they are the future. Thank you for your time.
My name is Kevin Bronchka, and I'm a member and the class president of the class of 2027 in Millis High School. Wednesday was a quite somber day in Millis. It was the day that we all found out that the override didn't pass. There was discussions and whispers in the hallways, and the main thing that concerned me and other students were the amount of classes being cut. AP classes and electives were being cut from an already small pool of choices, and this removes a large amount of freedom that our students would have. I've heard about kids that have been considering and been forced to consider new opportunities due to a lower level of education in Millis. I mean, in the past, Millis has already not been able to fill things such as a football team for the middle school and other extracurriculars, and this would just make those problems even worse. This override not passing would also cut things such as the bridge room, which helps students who missed out on an amount of school and need to catch up with the rest of their class. This affects the accessibility of our school by a great deal.
Excuse me. You're arguing the merits.
Yes.
This board supported the original override. We individually and collectively supported it. So we know what the cuts, we understand, we feel your pain. We're not here to relitigate that. We are only here to discuss why we should have another election, which would essentially undo the last election. I would like to hear those arguments.
All right? Me and other members of the high school many of us are below 18. We are unable to vote for what we believe in, and
Do you see how you brought that back?
yes.
It's a good job.
All right, thank you. I've spoken in public before, yes. It is the job of the community to speak for the most vulnerable members of our society who cannot speak for themselves. Thank you.
Judy Danielle, 21 Walnut Street. This is my opinion, and I'm going to be in a minority, but I'm speaking for many who voted against this agenda. We are discussing this agenda item because certain members of the town administration cannot accept the results of a fair election by a majority of their voting residents to whom they represent, if only by 8 votes. Denying election results have come to Millis. This board has the legal authority to request an operational override, and I assume it will continue to do so until they obtain the election result they want. They are factoring in that a majority of registered voters in this town even vote in town elections. Therefore, they will be able to gain their 9 votes in the next election. Therefore, I guess we residents who want our legal vote to count must get the word out that elections don't count the first time in Millis, and we have to keep on voting no if we do not want our taxes to once again be increased. Each resident was provided with the consequences if the override did not pass, and the majority of the voting residents have spoken and determined to live with these consequences. Therefore, in a fair election, the town administration would have to make the tough decisions to balance the town budget. This is no different than each and every household in the town of Millis must do. We are told that the school budget is under constraints because of state mandates, which decision makers were well aware of. This is no different than our personal budget. Sorry. My first budget line item, sorry.
It's okay. Take your time. Well, not really, because we're timing you. I'm kidding.
No,
Take your time.
Because it's my first line personal budget is my payments to the town of Millis, because they are the largest. Therefore, since I am on a fixed income, I must determine which line item I will cut to balance the budget to make up for increased annual tax that I receive. I say, it is the time for the administration to make the same tough decisions that the residents of Millis must make each and every year.
Okay, thank you.
Sorry, I have tremors.
That's okay.
Well, I recently graduated Millis High School. I graduated in 2023, and I just completed my first year of college.
Congratulations.
Thank you. When I first got the news, thank you. When I first got the news of everything going on, I came home immediately from college to vote. This was my first time voting because I felt that this was detrimental to the success of students. I wanted to come speak today to share an experience from an active college student and to say that the classes and the teachers that are going to be cut from this will absolutely harm students' futures.
Excuse me. Mayor, is it?
Yes.
Okay. We're not here to relitigate.
Yes.
Okay? So the cuts, we know, everybody here knows about the cuts.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I just wanted to say classes like AP Women Geography, AP Language are detrimental for students. If these are cut, it's not about money at this point, it's about our students' success.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Good evening, members of the Select Board. Well said, Mia. My name's Olivia Zatoli. I live at 28 Spring Street. I have proudly been a Millis resident since 2017. I graduated from Millis High School in 2010 and attended both the middle and high school as a choice student from Walpole. For full transparency, I currently work as an adjustment counselor at the high school within the Bridge program, which is set to be cut next year. However, I want to make it clear that I will still retain a counseling position at the high school, so I'm not here out of concern for my own job security. I'm here tonight because the mental health and well-being of our community's children is one of my deepest concerns and highest priorities. I have seen all of the arguments against the proposed tax increase, including the financial stress it places on families, but I'm here to offer a crucial perspective that demands our attention, and I believe warrants a special election. Please consider the single mom or dad who relies on our schools to help them co-parent effectively. Think of the child who self-harms or has suicidal thoughts and is too terrified to confide in their parents. Imagine a child struggling with their sexuality in a household that does not accept them. What about the child living with parents who are battling substance use addictions? Think about the child who is hungry but too proud to ask for help until they finally trust one staff member enough to confide in them. And what about the child enduring relentless violence and abuse within their own homes? These statements are not fear tactics. These vulnerable children rely on the support systems we provide. For many students, the TV studio or the other room or the bridge room or that one teacher are the only reason they come to school. It is our ethical responsibility to ensure that every child in Millis has their safe place and their trusted person. The petition for a special election is not about refusing to accept defeat. It's about continuing to fight for our kids and the services and programs they require and deserve. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Mike Carter, and my wife and I moved here in 2015 because of the school system. We've been so grateful for Clyde Brown staff because early interventionists and tutors, people whose jobs are being cut, have essentially rescued our boys from special ed. And I don't think people realize that they rightfully blame special ed, and with these cuts, the federal override will inevitably raise class sizes, limit the amount of support our children receive, and burden special education even more. And this will inevitably snowball, and so an investment now doesn't just save the children, it saves us financially in the very near future. Now, I know I don't want to talk about notes to the thing, so I'll just talk about the new stuff, cut all that out. Many people, many supporters of the override, said we're lost, deal with it. But my colleagues and I are obviously, based on tonight, and same with the students, will not give up, because that's exactly what we teach your children. We teach them determination, persistence, and grit. We teach them to believe in themselves and to not give up. Work hard, and when you fail, learn from it and work harder. And we won't give up, because I can't imagine working in a school system that would give up on our kids. I don't want to live in a community that wants its educators to simply deal with less and not fight for what the children need. So to select board tonight, it's due to these reasons and more that I asked for the special election. At town meeting, people asked to break up the override bill, and people asked for money to be reduced. These were people that presumably were voting against the bill. So here we are asking you to break up the override bill to include only the school's level services. Services we've had for over 16 years since I've been here and before, and services that were overwhelmingly agreed upon to be funded at town meeting. By doing so, this will reduce the money we are asking of the community by 24%. I think you mentioned that, Ellen. And it does go back to town meeting where people were asking for us to reduce it. We've also delayed this vote as long as we possibly could, even though people wanted to delay it even longer, because next school year is already going to be impacted, and I don't want to impact it any further. So please, I beg you, please consider that special election for our children.
Thank you.
I'm Lauren Barnes from Curve Street. In 2014, a special election for funding today's Clyde Brown School was moved from the November election cycle to a harsh February winter. Extreme blizzard conditions depressed in-person voting by those still in town, dominantly parents of students. Mail delays meant absentee ballots arrived too late to be counted. Voter participation was a dismal 12%, or 644 ballots cast, raising valid questions about the fairness of that election process and its exorbitant cost per vote. Yet that vote stood. Last week's weather was perfect for the spring election. Celtics playoffs started at 7 p.m. near the end of a 12-hour voting window. We'd had months to secure childcare, arrange carpools, and become informed and inspired. 1/3 of our town's 6,978 registered voters prioritized the minutes it took to vote. We are here because of the 2/3 who didn't vote or those who quickly rejected the outcome. I asked the board, how can a town with a budget shortfall justify spending $12,000 to shop for a new result to a completed election that everyone knew about and was lawfully executed without? What does that say to those who did vote last Monday, to those who fulfilled their jobs from the town clerk's office, the poll workers, and police? How does the Division of Elections or the Secretary of State advise our town for an election challenge due not to a catastrophic condition like an evacuation or power wash, but rather voter apathy? When would this acrimonious cycle of election redos end, and at what cost?
Thank you,
Sometimes democracy hurts. It frustrates and it feels wrong, and I know that better than most. To those who are disappointed, consider this your personal call to action. The only person who can vote for you is you. It's not the Select Board's job to do that for you tonight. Going forward, I would ask the town to publicize the known dates of the upcoming September and November elections, as well as our fall town meeting date. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. John Fitzgerald, Plain Street. The Groundhog Day rule should not be adopted. Every day is not voting day. We already voted. The voters have rejected the override. You should respect their wishes. Do you want to start having special town meetings every 60 days? We already have a petition signature sufficient to place an article to repeal the override, and to each taxpayer will get a rebate of any taxes collected in excess of the millage rate in effect on May 6th, plus 5% interest. We have sufficient votes. This will be on an article, so if you vote for a revote, we will vote for a revote. There will be an endless cycle of voting. If the Select Board defies the will of the voters, then the due process clause does not apply here in the Soviet Republic of Millis. The general election result was conducted in a fair manner. The election are honest.
John, look at me. First of all, why are you littering?
I'll pick up my note cards when I'm done.
Thank you. Let's stay on point, please.
Yeah, on point. We already voted on the election, and you're trying to redo election results and defy the will of the voters. That's my point.
Okay, thank you.
So if the Select Board defies the will of the voters, then the Equal Protection Clause does not apply here either, because you're saying that young people are super citizens, whereas senior citizens are second-class citizens. Franklin Roosevelt created this Social Security plan as a safety net for elderly voters. You're already taking 42% away, and if you re-vote, you're going to take more than that. Senior citizens need to be aware, those who are at home, you got to keep voting, because the Select Board is going to keep defying the will of the voters. You're our last line of protection.
John, please. It's enough that you're speaking for yourself. Do not speak for this board.
I'm not speaking for the board. I'm speaking for the voters of this town who already voted.
I got enough problems. Don't speak for this board, and you got 10 seconds. Go.
All right, elderly voters, please get out, protect your vote, because they're trying to confiscate private property and turn it into public property. You got to be vigilant. Keep voting, because they're going to ignore your vote. This is not a democracy anymore. Well, the moderator at the last election, at the town meeting, certainly did not use the gavel. So my First Amendment rights were denied at the town meeting.
Come in. Thank you. Next.
His friends call him Jack.
Go ahead.
Phil Devo, 130 Spring Street. Members of the Select Board, righteous decisions are the pathway to peace. No truer words spoken. Words directed to all on earth by a very well-known philosopher and teacher, 1,989 years ago. These same words hold true this very day. Your upcoming decisions on whether to invalidate the votes of every Millis citizen would be a denigration to the sanctity of every vote cast last Monday on the override ballot. There are citizens in this auditorium, as well as other stakeholders who are not here in attendance. Along with them, call on the Select Board to deny the petition of those among us who do not respect our vote. Make that righteous decision, returning peace to the present toxic environment which hangs like a fog over our wonderful little town. Sorry.
Yeah, try to speak into the mic, please.
Well, I thought I had it in front of me, sorry. Making the unjust decision favoring the submitted petition results in the hijacking of last Monday's vote. compounding the previous errors made by the very same people who constructed last Monday's failed ballot, which is built upon miscalculation of the energized attitude of alienated individual voters, as well as the underestimation of the number of these unorganized voters who had shown up to cast their resounding no votes. Families living in the margins and seniors of Millis are forgotten citizens. A redo just confirms the disregard and disrespect they endure. The disqualification of their votes and added obstruction to our pathway to peace, as well as perpetuating the present toxicity. The onus is upon you, the three representatives of every citizen in Millis.
Can we try to wrap it up?
I'm wrapping it up.
Okay.
Please don't interrupt me.
Okay.
To render the expectation of a righteous decision, I call upon you to please make that decision. Last page.
I think we're...
Thank you for your time.
We're a little bit over, so what do you got? Another paragraph or...
Well, I was just trying to thank you for listening to me.
Oh, my goodness!
Okay, thank you for your time and your serious consideration to this matter. If you want me to go on, I can.
That's perfect.
Not necessary, thank you.
My name is Megan Keelope. I live on Plain Street. I love town meeting. I love voting in this town. I've had so much fun with it, and this has not been the best. But something happened this week while everybody was talking about the Sunline. There were a bunch of vetoes in West Virginia. The governor vetoed a bunch of bills, and those bills went back to Congress, their statement, and they're going to work on it some more and bring it back to the governor. That's actually the beauty of our government. It's very flexible. That's why we get to have this conversation. We brought something to the town said, no, not that. And then the town people said, well, what about this? It's not negating your vote. It's continuation of a conversation. And you have every right to come back and vote it down. It's conversation. It is standing up neighbor to neighbor and having a vote. And if you're going to vote it no again, that's fair. And that's okay. But this is part of the process of governing. They do their part, they did their work, they got on the board, they spent 2 years. We opted to be the people that voted at the end of the day. They brought their work to us, we voted. Now we get to say, well, can we try something else? And now they get to say yes or no. This is how it's supposed to work. So thank you, neighbors. Thank you.
6, 8, 10. I'm going to cut the lines off. Whoever's standing, feel free to speak. I'm going to cut the line off because we're running close to the cap of 30, 35 minutes. Kathy, are you getting in line? Yes, ma'am. Okay.
I'm going to be last.
Okay, you're it. Eric, you're last. Kathy, you're last. Okay, let's go.
I think Kathy's switched.
My turn?
It's okay.
Okay. Hi, Glenn Allen Field from Glen Ellen Boulevard. I spoke at the last meeting. I'm one of the positions that was cut, but that's not why I'm talking, actually. I was a part-time math interventionist for the rest of this week. And I already explained what was my opinion of, a fantastic opinion of the Millis school system. I just have a question, though. From what you said earlier, it was a great point when you introduced this whole thing about pitting one agency against another, the police, fire versus the school. But you said you want it to be a win-win situation. I didn't understand if you could elaborate on that, because I don't see how it can ever be a win-win. It would be a win-lose if this goes through. Otherwise, it's a lose-lose.
This isn't a zero-sum game, right? One department doesn't pull ahead while the other gets left behind. The whole town rises as one. That's the only recipe for success. Everybody has to look around and has to see what's important. You take a little less, we take a little, everybody gets a piece of the
I agree
pie.
with you completely in principle, but in the absence of this second potential override, it's a lose-lose. That's how it would stand right now. That's my opinion. Okay, but the other, I just want to make one quick point also, that the police and fire are not losing any positions. This is like to gain a position, whereas the schools are losing a lot of positions.
I would like to remind people that the only reason that the police, DPW, and fire are asking for these positions is they've been asking for these positions for years. We were ready to grant them last year, but because of the budget underfall at the school, nobody except the school got funding. So had the school given a little bit back, then the police and fire and DPW would be, they would have their people, and then this override would have been solely for the school.
Thank you.
Good evening, Denise Gibbons, 8 Paddock Lane, also a member of the school committee. I'd like to start by saying the school has lost. The changes that were voted last week have been executed. The school is now down 15 people. It's done. The school last year, as part of the budget shortfall, lost 7.5 people. We did give. We're very appreciative of what the town gave to us. That allowed us to keep these 16 people for an entire year. It allowed children to continue to get their services. Some more information for this evening. I do just want to share to all of the voters, your message was heard, the cuts have been made. They have been executed in the way that it was outlined as the impact in the article. More information for this evening. Additional financial impacts to Millis as a result of the cuts. As a result of the cuts, students will be having less opportunities, causing them to go out of district. What does that mean to the town? That means additional funding that will be needed for the school budget. Tri-County, building project that we have no control over, even though our town voted it down, we are still responsible for paying towards that for every student from Millis that attends Tri-County. We pay Tri-County tuition for every student that goes. We also will be paying for every student that goes a portion of the new building project. In addition, due to less opportunities here within Millis, students will also choose to choice out of district. If we were to look at what the levels were prior to the hard work that the district has done over the course of the past years to increase the level of education, we would see that we had less students choosing to go out of district, less students choosing to go to Tri-County, and less students choosing to go to other school districts. Based on calculations that the superintendent has checked with the town administrator, it is estimated that additional costs to Millis could reach as much as $575,000 annually for costs for Tri-County tuition and costs for Tri-County billing associated with each student that travels out of district. We are very appreciative for all that the town has given to the district. We hope that the select board will give us an opportunity to continue to take every avenue possible to fight for the children and fight for their education.
Thank you.
Jim Angelo, 34 Lavender Street, Millis, Mass. A little bit of history. This is the third Proposition 2.5 override in a row that was voted down. The people have spoken. And I don't know if people remember, but 3 years ago, right out here in the parking lot, on a cold October day, we sit and we vote for $1.3 million worth of land that we didn't have the money to buy. Now we got the land, we can't afford what we're voting for.
It was one line, Jim.
Whatever. What people don't remember is when you vote for stuff like that, you're giving stuff up in the future. Guess what? It's the future. Okay? 3 years ago, I paid my mortgage off, $348 a month with the taxes in it. I'm paying almost $800 a month now, just taxes. Enough is enough. You get 65%, learn to live within your means. Thank you. Thank you.
Excuse me a minute, I know I'm nearing the end here for the speakers, but I'm getting complaints that the audio at home is not great, so if you could really make sure you're speaking into the mic, that would be excellent. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Macy Sear. I'm a junior, and I live in Walpole. I'm a school choice student. I originally transferred here my freshman year, which is 3 years ago, and that's 2 years after my sisters transferred here. I always knew I didn't want to go to Walpole High School for multiple reasons, but when I asked my sisters where I should go, the only answer that they gave me was Millis. And it was because of the teachers. But to talk about new things, I know that if my parents and my sisters were able to come to this vote as Millis citizens, they would have. But they can't because we are school choice students. I'm one of several students in my grade alone, who are school choice students and drive here every single day. I choose to drive 7 miles every single day and every evening. I drove an additional 7 miles to be here tonight to speak. And if I had the ability to vote, being 18, I would have, but again, I don't live in Millis, so I can't. I'm sure that anyone, any teacher of a school choice, any parent of a school choice student would come here and vote in favor of the school, but they can't. And therefore, a majority of the people who involve themselves in the Millis community, like me and my family and many of my friends, don't have a voice here. So I ask that there is call for an additional vote because my voice is not heard, my friends' voices are not heard, and my family's voices are not heard.
Thank you.
My turn?
It's
Madam
your
Chair?
turn, Kathy.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Kathy McInnes, 78 Island Road, and speaking as myself and not a member of the Finance Committee, although I was the one vote that did not support the override. And the reason I did not support the override was because I mentioned to so many people to please separate the overrides, and I think the school committee was sort of afraid that the select board, this was the way it was going to go or not, and now they're having remorse. And I believe what people are upset about, Madam Chair, is the fact that there's a revote a week later. I propose, and I've got mixed feelings of this on the Finance Committee when I've stated that there be a complete audit, financial, every municipal department, the school department, the people are owed where the hundreds of thousands of dollars are going, Madam Chair, to from Glen Ellen, from all of the great work that Jim McKay and the Planning Board has done to bring money into this town. Residents just want to know where it's going. If you could please just say, this is going for this is going for that, the enterprise funds, what's happening with those, where is the vocational tri-county money coming from? I understand through the former chair that you used some free cash money for it. How long are we going to kick it all down the road? Let's take the summer, let's audit everything. You already mentioned that the employees that are let go, and perhaps as one of our members of the Finance Committee stated, you start from the bottom up when you're reorganizing. What are the needs? What are the real needs of the town, what the state mandates, and what it doesn't mandate? So let's take your time and take a breath on this. Thank you.
Thank you.
I understand I've been up here already, so I'll try to keep this succinct. We were 9 votes short of having a majority. 8
No, 9
votes
of a
short.
majority, 9 of a majority.
I know, good math. I am entirely sure that there are at least 9 people in this town who are registered voters who will and would have voted for just this to pass and not the other 2 bills. I believe that this second vote... Thank you.
Let him speak.
Thank you.
I know, but, okay, I'll take care of that. Go ahead.
I believe that to those 9 people, and possibly more, a vote like this is not only, but it is owed to them. Thank you.
Thank you.
Daniel Benoudiba, Burwood Lane. I'll try to speak slowly. I have an accent, I'm sorry. Several things. So, first thing, a difference of $1,000 a month in taxes for me is not going to make a dent in my budget, so I don't care about the override on that aspect. I care about it, and I'm not going to go with the merits that long. I care about it because I have a kid in school who is probably going to lose some services. However, I voted no for the override, and I would like for the re-election, sorry for my words, to not happen, because we live in a country, I came here from another country, we live in a country that is set with rules, with laws. We had an election, we had a whole process to get to the town election. The people showed up to vote. They either voted for or against, doesn't matter. Whether it was 9 votes or 1 vote difference, by the way, thank you for speaking. It's really good to have young people who get involved. It takes a lot of courage. And, but the issue is, think of the Game 6 Bruins game the other night. We lost by a goal. Oh well, are we going to play it again and again and again until we win? No, we shouldn't do that.
I hope so.
Or,
Oh, no, never mind.
but we have a certain set of rules, so we need to learn that losing is okay. And then we have the next election is probably, I don't know, November or something is my guess. So the next election is November, we go vote. Ever since I came to this country, I am a citizen. I vote every election. Please, young people, register as soon as possible. Vote every election. Vote what you believe in. Do it. But if you lose, you lose. If you win, you win.
Thank you. Mate, did you sneak in the iron, mate?
No, I did not.
No? Okay.
No, I've been here the whole time.
Okay.
I've just been in the shadows.
Okay.
Madam Chair,
Yes,
when would this next election be? Or voting?
we're not there yet, Nate.
Okay. Would it be in the fall? Because at town meeting,
The request was to hold a special election as soon as possible.
Okay.
I'm not sure what that means, but that's the request.
so my question is, at town meeting, we had a vote on the override question. That included all parts, police, fire, school, etc. That vote in the democratic process was for all those combined. Would that not mean that we need another special town meeting to vote on the question with just the schools?
Well, that's what's being, that's what's being asked, yes.
For a special town meeting?
Oh, no. Well, good question.
That was the point of the question.
That's a good question, because as I said in my opening remarks, if it were to be deemed a significant change, my feeling is people may have voted differently at town meeting. To be honest with you, I would have, because I wanted to see everything on one. I don't like splitting the town. I don't like it. But we're giving the benefit of the doubt to the school that this is if we were talking land use, which you understand, this would be a minor modification, right?
Correct.
And not, right, Nicole? And not a major. I'm viewing it as a minor modification so we can move forward tonight. So that's what we're doing.
I understand. I hope the due process is correct and that we don't get in trouble with the state for our approach.
Me too.
So, thank you. I'm in favor of this. I understand
It's
the
fine.
cuts. I understand the education. Our kids went here. We got a great school system. The state's letting us down. Big time.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you, Eric. My last one. Okay, we're wrapping up with you, Eric.
The last,
There you go.
ladies and gentlemen and children, I'm going to start with the German sentence, Leben lassen. We all live here together. We got one budget and we share the budget. It kind of worries me when I read on the internet, we have a special group which has special interest here. They're asking parents and teachers to ask for special election, another special election. So this is kind of not fair, because they're asking people who got children in school to request another election. Well, that's number one. And number two, so we're going to give all the money, and you mentioned it already, to school. So we don't need fire department. We got police officers in the back. I guess we can send them home. If we get the security issues, the teachers will take care of it. But to the last, I like to say, guys, are we going to repeat federal elections, presidential elections, every election which people don't like? That's about it.
33.
You have half a minute, Eric. You wrapped up?
No, I'm all set. Thank you very much. Thank you, Ellen.
All right.
Thank you, everybody.
I'm sorry, you said two things. Can I just clarify a couple things that you mentioned? You brought it up. There's two things that you don't know, and I want to make sure that you know what they are, because I read the Prop 2.5 document. Mike Carter.
His question.
What?
Of order.
I read the Prop 2.5 document.
Listen, people. Let him ask two questions. Go
I
ahead.
saw Mr. Maltinsky's question that you didn't know the answer to. According to page 24 in the Prop 2.5 document, this special election needs to take place 90 days after the override, and it does not require a new town meeting. So those are two things. Because the town meeting happened, and we allocated these funds, and all we're asking for is to adjust the bill. I agree, police and fire deserve it too. However, here we are in this situation where the bill has to be adjusted. We've already allocated these funds, and we need the special election within 90 days.
Do you have anything else?
Thank you. Yes, the other thing I want to mention is that you said police and fire did not get these new positions from last year because of the schools. Well, these cuts are going back more than 16 years of positions that have already been in place. We're not asking for new positions, we're asking to keep.
We understand the fact. Okay, so the public comment, thank you, everybody, for participating. It's very, very good, very good, very good. Love it. We're now going to deliberate, and we're going to start with the new low person on the totem pole, which I love saying that. And then we're going to move to the next person on the lower totem, because I am at the highest rung. If you haven't noticed, I know I'm sitting in the middle, and I should be closer to the hand of God over there, Mike. But I like to surround myself with the best and the brightest, so this is what we have. So, you ready, Craig?
Yes.
Okey doke.
It's very humbling going from the chair to the clerk, but nonetheless. All right, a couple things. I was chair when this was put on the agenda, and the reason it was put on the agenda was not the petition. It was because another elected board requested it be put on the agenda. Elected boards like the planning board, I believe, the elected boards like the planning board, the school committee, the Board of Health, the finance committee who's appointed but by a different authority, should all have the right to petition the select board to be heard. So when I was chair, that's the decision I made. That's why we're gathered here tonight. I don't regret that decision. I was afraid I might halfway through, but I think I'm still good with it. So other people have mentioned tonight we tried a trick with bundling them together to get people to vote. No, that's a deep belief that all three of us have, that it's one town, one vote. That's not a trick. That was not something to make it more attractive. I understand why people might think that, but it's absolutely was not the case. This is how we believe it. This is the way we do it. So, Madam Chairman.
Yes.
As you know, I supported the override. I fully understand the impact of the no vote has on our schools, DPW, fire, police, and I really do wish it had passed. All these departments have significant needs. The Finance Committee, the School Committee, the Select Board all agreed that the positions funded by the override are needed. The Finance Committee was actually unanimous on the school. They differed on the other areas. So I really do believe there is a need. Unfortunately, the voters did disagree with us. I did what I could do to persuade people to vote for the override. I personally voted for it. I got my wife to vote for it. My son voted for it. My wife wouldn't vote for me, but she voted for the override. So anyway, I had a yard sign. I spoke at town meeting. I spoke at the senior center. I was active, unfortunately, on social media. I even took vacation days to speak to groups at town hall. I have a real job. This pays $200 a year. I don't support my family or pay Millis taxes with that money. So I have another job, but I took vacation days so I could be here to do this. So I really, really believe in this override. Unfortunately, we lost, and it's very hard for me to support another town election because this was a loss at the polls. The override was 3 years coming. The Select Board, the Finance Committee spent all of FY23 and FY24 looking for solutions. We gave the state time to come forward and help us. Last year, the schools cut 7.5 staff and $750,000. So don't tell me that we have been sitting around not doing anything. We cut positions, we used emergency funds to buy time, and we did everything we could, and after 3 years, we've just run out of things to cut. Nobody believes us on that, but that's the truth. We have no fat to trim in the budget. If you find it, please, I'll step down, maybe tonight. But, so we cut as much as we could. The problem is, what we have now is beyond, the problem we have now is beyond our ability to cut. The last solution we had was an override. We prepared a balanced budget, so don't say we don't prepare a balanced budget and live within our means. Our balanced budget included 15.8 cuts. That's what a balanced budget is. We gave it to you, the town passed it, not even unanimously, but it was close. Then we asked for the supplemental funding. But we're implementing the budget that we agreed on at town meeting, and if the town said no to the override, that's something we have to respect. I, like you, have received, like the rest of this board, have received emails, calls, texts, and random stops at the dump and Roach Brothers. Most of the emails I received were a nice form letter that showed support, and many saying that we can't just, and many of the no votes were saying we just can't afford it. It wasn't people that were adamantly opposed to the schools in the emails that I received as override. It was true financial issues. I wish I could say the same about everybody I spoke to. Some think that, my favorite line is I'm lining my pockets. Anyway.
Take a look at him. He is not lining his pockets.
This is a BJ's shirt. Okay, so, but none of that matters. We're not debating the merits of the override, which I firmly believe in. We're considering a special election for another vote. That's what tonight's about. People assumed I was an automatic yes. Heard that a lot. For a revote. I don't know how people could reach that conclusion when I repeatedly said we need to respect the vote and move on in many, many, many of my posts leading into this. I argued hard for it, and I will argue hard for it again, but I also respect the democratic process and think we have to move on. I hate the way the vote turned out, and I'm concerned with the impact it will have, but again, we have to move on. It's not the merits of the cuts that are informing my vote, but the precedents that a special election would set. The changes to the question, in my mind, aren't substantial enough to call for a revote. All we have as elected officials is our integrity. If we lose our integrity and credibility, then we have no ability to influence and govern. The town is going to face future hard choices, and we need our credibility so that we can be trusted as we comment and inform on those issues. We have the MBTA zoning coming up in November. We have other issues coming up. We got another budget cycle coming up. But we need our credibility to speak on those. We will continue to investigate realistic revenue-producing opportunities and cost-saving opportunities. We will look at doing a cost breakdown that shows how money flows. I wouldn't call it an audit, I'd call it a cash flow, but that's just because I'm an accountant. But we'll look at all of that. However, we're never going to have a massive commercial base that's going to bail us out. That's just not going to happen. I'd be thrilled if we did. I'd love something other than a pizza place. I'd love a sushi place. But other than that, we're not going to get more state aid for FY25. The reps are working on it. I spoke to one of our reps this afternoon, and I spoke to one of our state senator also. They're pushing a sped circuit breaker piece. I don't think it's going to happen in FY25, and it may never happen, but that would be a huge help. But we're pushing it. We're working every opportunity with the state. So I hold out some hope, but no hope in the near term. But we will see another override. I promise you that. We're going to see another override. If not this summer, at the appropriate time, either November town meeting or next May. But there will be another one. This isn't the proper time or place to consider an override. but those are discussions for a future day. But November or May, we'll need to see one. And for those of you that supported the override, I'm speaking to you now, not the board, you have a list of 468 names, I think is what the petition had on it. Use that list. Prepare for the next vote. Organize with that. If each of those people on that list brought 3 friends, you pass. It's that simple. You have a great list. If nothing else, this drove turnout. And drive it next time. Go for it again. I mean, things like this have happened. 27 years of Finance Committee and Select Board, we've lost overrides. We've made cuts. We've come back from those. You can come back possibly as early as November and certainly May. Get organized, move on from this loss, come back, but again, remain civil to your neighbors. That's the most important thing. This has gotten out of hand, and quite honestly, if I'm going to be honest, it's the people that are convinced we're going to re-vote that got it out of hand. I have been called every friggin' name in the book by some people in this room. So it's very frustrating. I've tried to be polite back at it, but people are just spreading crap, all right? So this needs to be revoted. It will be revoted. Use this as an opportunity to get organized and respect the democratic process.
You can clap. It's all right. Very passionate. Thank you, Craig. Aaron?
Do you have anything else you want to say, or did you say your piece?
No, I'm going to go after you.
Okay.
So yes, I do.
Okay. Okay, thank you. My opinion differs from Craig's, actually. While he does have some excellent points, and, you know, I do agree with the merit of most of that, I also think that the issue with the ballot question being combined, I think, was a real one. And while we all were in agreement about not putting department against department, and I still believe that, I think there's a big difference in cuts versus additions. And what we were looking at was a combination of both. So in terms of this request for another election, I think that has merit because it's looking at not cutting. It's looking at preserving what we currently have in place. And the impacts to the students and the schools waiting until November, waiting until May, is too large to deal with, to be frank. And not only does it impact the kids and the teachers and the school system entirely, it impacts the town financially, it impacts property values, it impacts the costs that I think it was Denise got up and spoke about, Tri-County, school choice. This problem's not going away, and it's not due to any mismanagement on the town or school side. It is the state that has failed us. It is the unfunded mandates that have failed us. And there's nowhere else to go to fix this. It needs to come from the community. So that's my opinion.
That's your thoughts?
Yeah.
Good thoughts. Good thoughts. Help me. I opened this meeting with comments about the process. The process that's played out in Millis every year. And it includes I mentioned this before, deliberation, debate, collaboration, budgets, warrant, town meeting, and elections. This process was followed for the override and election held on May 7th and May 13th, respectively. People need to be able to rely on this process, and they need to be able to rely on their elected officials to honor this process. Without getting all red, white, and blue here, this process is democracy. This is the very definition of the democratic process. We must respect the process, and we must respect the result. The voters of Millis followed this process regarding this override, the last override, part of which was the vote. They voted. When people follow the process, they should expect the outcome to matter. They should expect their votes to count. Authorizing a special election to re-vote what has already been settled undermines the process the result and the voters who followed the rules. This is a case where one side did not get the result they expected or desired. If we were to approve this request, every single election could be open to a similar request, because in every single election, there is one side who doesn't get the result that they expect or desire. This leads us to a slippery slope. Where does it end? If we allow this, and the school who brought it wins, well, what about the people whose votes are, I'm going to say undone, because it is an undoing. What if they come to us and want another one? Best 2 out of 3, right? 5 out of 7. I mean, let's just keep doing it. It doesn't work that way. It's a very, very slippery slope. It leads to a precedent that we will not be able to uphold. No election would be safe. I've spent my whole time here. This is what I tell people. I tell people, I'm not here to vote for you. I'm not here to make your decisions. I'm here to present to you the facts, your options. You need to vote it. That's what I preach. Every day, that's what I preach. How would I be able to say that to anybody if I allow this revote? They would, I can see them now. Ellen, really? I voted. You took it away. You didn't like it. I would lose all credibility. This board would lose all credibility. And honestly, credibility is really all we have. I want to wrap up with saying I supported, I'm going to tag on Craig, I supported the override. I had a sign on my lawn. I told people to vote. I spent a couple of Thursday mornings at the Legion explaining to the vets what the override means. I cajole people to vote. It's my whole thing. I went through this public school system in Millis. I went to the Clyde Brown. I went to this school. I sat in those chairs at pep rallies. I bounced the ball in the gym. I ate in the cafeteria. I had a great education from Millis. It has been the base of everything. And this has nothing to do with that. This has to do with the process. And we have to uphold the process. What else would we have? So, on that note, am I asking for a motion? Okay. So I'm going to ask if any of us would like to make a motion.
This was submitted by the school committee, and in such, I am going to make a motion. I move that the board vote to place the following Proposition 2.5 override question on a special municipal election to be held on...
Madam Chair, just to remind the board, the earliest in looking at the calendar that the board could post an election within the legal requirements would be July 1st.
On July 1st, 2024. Shall the town of Millis be allowed to assess an additional $1,070,767 in real estate and personal property taxes for the purpose of providing for the general administrative cost of operating the schools for the fiscal year beginning July 1st, 2024?
Do we have a second?
I'll second that for the purpose of voting. I don't like to leave motions unseconded.
Okay, so, all those in favor of allowing this request to hold a special election for the new proposed override, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, say nay. 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 So, that doesn't carry. And I thank everybody for coming out and sharing. I appreciate. That's what I got. And now you can all stay for the rest, because we have a big agenda here that I know you're going to be excited about.
Madam Chair. Madam Chair. Tell her to take a 5-minute recess.
Madam Chair,
I know you, so.
Madam Chair, recommend a 5-minute recess.
I want to take a 5-minute recess. I make a motion to reconvene the meeting.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Okay. The next item on the agenda, people, don't talk as you're walking out. Please. Is she going to say something? Oh, she's with you. The next agenda item is a vote to accept a gift, which is the Council on Aging vehicle. Do I make a motion to?
Well, no, there's speakers for it.
Okay.
No.
Is the mic on? I don't know, talk into it.
Yes?
Yes.
You just got to get really close.
Council on Aging Chair. I'm sorry. Council on Aging Director. I have with me tonight Christy Chrisman, who's the president of our Friends Group. We received an earmark from the state, and we need additional funding to complete the purchase for a new vehicle to replace our sedan vehicle, which is aged, and now we have something that will be much more safe and have great comfort features for our passengers. So with that, I'd like to have Christy Chrisman. We'd like to have a gift acceptance of what the Friends are able to give for the balance of the car.
Can somebody either close the doors up there?
Pete's on it.
Pete's on it?
Yep.
Thank you.
Thanks, Pete. Everybody else? I'm sorry, continue.
So, Christy Chrisman? Hi, Ethel Chrisman, 236 Orchard Street. So, as president of the Mills Council on Aging, Friends Council on Aging, and on behalf of this group, I'd like to thank everyone for their donations, which have allowed us to provide this gift towards a new vehicle. Thanks to everyone who helped make this happen. Thank you very much.
What do I do now? Are we done?
Do you have the amount there? Do you have the amount there?
Yes.
Okay, do I need to state it, or?
No, I don't
You'll
think
state
so.
it?
I'll state it in the
Okay, thank
motion.
you.
How's that? Okay. All right. I move that the board accept a gift from the Friends of the Millis Council on Aging in the form of a check in the amount of $21,057.52 to be used towards the purchase of a 2024 Hyundai Sonata SEL Hybrid to replace the 2013 Chevy Cruze to be used for the Council on Aging Transportation Program.
Okay, we just heard a motion. Oh, second.
Forgot, that's my new job. Second. Second.
Okay, a motion has been made and seconded to accept a gift, a COA vehicle. All those in favor? Aye. That's unanimous.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, friends. Okay. Now we have an approval of a senior project request.
Nope, you missed.
Oh, approval of bond sale.
Tony first, yeah. All right.
You want to what?
Speak? Yeah.
Okay.
Madam Chair, I just want to introduce Tony, how do you say your last name? Is it Antonazzi?
Afanasi.
Oh, I was close. So this is Tony. Tony is a senior at Millis High School, and he is working on a project to do a photo wrap for one of the electrical boxes in town. In your motion, Mr. McKay may have told me that the box was right near Roach Brothers Plaza, but indeed it is not, in fact, there.
Yeah, it's by the Millis gas station.
So right by the Millis gas station. So Tony, I don't know if you just want to talk for 2 minutes kind of about what the project is.
Okay,
yeah.
which Millis gas station? We have a few of them.
The Millis gas station, like right outside the
Millis
Place
gas.
Street.
Oh, okay. Is that, oh, is that the name of it, the Millis gas station? How original. Hey, I think I'm going to go to the Millis gas station. Oh, okay, we all know where that is. Okay, go ahead.
And I just wanted to say, Tony, so we included some of the photos Tony had sent that will be in this wrap, but go ahead.
Yeah, so I just have like historical photos of like Millis and like some towns around us, and I made them into stickers, and I'm just gonna decorate the electrical box right outside of Millis Gas with them.
Okay. Okay. Are we good? Any comments? Questions? Nope?
Okay. I move that the board approve the request by Antonio Athanasi to wrap the electrical box located on Route 109 opposite, nope. located on Route 109 at the Millis gas station,
It's the Millis.
with the images presented at this meeting for his Millis High School senior project.
Okay. We hear a second for the approval of the senior project request. All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Voted unanimously. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good luck.
Okay, now we have the approval of bond sale and bond anticipation note. We have Jen on board.
Good evening. My name is Jennifer Scannell. I am the treasurer collector for the town. I am before the board for the approval of a bond sale and bond anticipation note that took place on April 23rd, 2024. I'm going to discuss the purpose of each borrowing, and then at the end, I've included a combined suggested memo for both the loan and the note sale in my packet. Okay? So, as I stated, April 23rd, 2024, the town sold, had a bond sale. Par value was $5,055,000. It was for the purchase of the following equipment: an ambulance, a fire engine, a Vector truck, and to pay capital expenditures related to the DeAngelis Water Treatment Plant to address excessive levels of PFAS identified in wells 1 and 2. The interest-weighted net average cost of the bond sale is 3.43%, with the premium that the town received of $331,641.23. There were multiple bids on that bond sale. The winning bidder was Fidelity Capital Markets. We also sold a bond anticipation note, which is just a short-term maturity of a year. That amount was for $1,500,000. That was for the middle high school feasibility study, and also to pay expenditures related to PFAS water treatment plant identified in well 3. So like I said, that's a short term versus the bond sale, which is 20 years. Maturity 5/23/25. Weighted net average interest cost 3.8, with a premium of $2,715. And the interest on that loan is roughly $60,000. So like I said, there is a suggested memo in the suggested motion in the memo that I provided, and also I left Karen with a binder of documents that do need to be signed tonight. I'll take any questions if you have it.
Do we have any questions or comments?
No.
Pretty clear? Clear as mud?
I move that the board adopt the votes prepared by bond counsel to the town as presented to this meeting to award the town's $5,055,000 general obligation municipal purpose loan of 2024 bonds to the lowest bidder in a competitive sale held on April 23rd, 2024. And the town's $1,500,000 general obligation notes to the lowest bidder in a competitive sale conducted on April 23rd, 2024, to approve the amounts and interest rates associated with each such issue, and to approve the other documents as presented by the town treasurer.
Okay, all those in favor of the approval of the bond sale and bond anticipation note?
Aye.
Thank you.
Motion carries unanimously.
Thanks.
Thank you, Jen. Okay. Are we on to the paving sidewalk? The next item on the agenda, well, I see Jim has already jumped the shark here. To review and approve the FY25 paving sidewalk projects.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Jen and I don't take any offense that we won't get applause for our presentations, but that's all right. This is like the NFL draft of who's getting picked on the roads this year. Number one will be the Walnut Street, and we will pave from Orchard to the town line.
There you get it.
Village Street, we'll have two sections. We will from Tara Terrace to the Medway Town Line, and from Plain Street, these are both on Village, from Plain Street to the Heritage Path, and we may extend that a little bit more. Most importantly, Hammond Lane, that whole intersection from where the new developer, we brought the sewer up. There was a gift that was given to us. We will use those funds for that.
So it'll be from Main Street up into both the intersections of Farm Street and Acorn Street. And then with our Clean Streets projects, we're going to use this as part of the bid. We'll replace the sidewalks on the opposite side of the high school entrance on Plain Street, just like we did on Pleasant Street last year. We're going to replace all those sidewalks. Main Street, we're going to replace all the 109 pedestrian detectable warning pads. I think if you notice that when you get to the intersections, when a blind person or somebody with handicap detectable pads need to be placed there. And when that was done back 25, or I think it was like 20-plus years ago, they weren't needed for that to be done. But now it was part of, we got, not complaints, but from the Handicapped Association to have those spots done. So what I'm asking is the board that you would vote to allow me to put this out to bid using GCG Associates. There's a contract that the town administrator will sign tomorrow, and we're looking at a ballpark of $1.3 million. And we do have those funds from previous town meetings, different type of gift funds that we have received from donations from developers that have to pay and using the Clean Streets project, which there's, I believe, $600-something thousand in there to get these projects done.
Yeah, I believe it's Complete Streets.
Complete Streets.
It's one
I
of the
said Clean
committees I get to
Streets.
serve on. And I
Complete
think
Streets.
I think, yeah, that's a good use for it. Thank
Yeah,
you.
yeah.
Ready?
I'm ready.
Okay. I move that the board approve a request by the DPW director to solicit bids for the following paving and sidewalk projects as specified on the memo presented: Walnut Street, Village Street, Hammond Lane, Farm, Spencer Street intersections, replacement of Plain Street sidewalks, and Main Street pedestrian detectable warning panels.
Second.
Okay, it has been, there's a motion on the table to review, approve the FY25 paving sidewalk projects. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Madam
Motion carries
I was
unanimously.
going to say, sorry, I didn't know about the GCG part. Do you want that added into
No,
the motion?
because it's not $10,000.
Okay,
So
thank you.
he can sign that. So no one's forgot about Route 109. We all know that Route 109 needs to be paved. As you've followed with emails that I've sent to the state through the town administrator, we're on them every month, asking them when that's going to get done. If it doesn't get done, we'll have to look in November to do certain sections of it. But as of today, they're planning to pave every sections that the town has not paved over the last couple of years. So we're still holding out hope for that it will be done, this season.
Okay. Okay, are we doing I know we're not doing finance.
No.
Right?
That's going to be deferred to your next meeting.
Correct.
Do I have to say anything about it? Okay. We're skipping at the appointment of finance director, which is on the agenda. Are we doing the historical commission member?
Yes.
Okay. So the next item on the agenda is the appointment of a historical commission member. Is anybody here?
I am listed on it, but I'm not sure why I listed myself on this. There is a memo in the packet that explains, this is actually, and I don't have the name in front of me, it's Brittany.
Delaney.
Delaney, thank you.
81 Exchange Street,
Thank
has
you.
volunteered to be on the Historic Commission. Background, she has a history degree, Mass U.S. History, and she's a history teacher. And she's requested to be on it, so it's our purview to appoint her.
Well, I like the history to historical. I think that's a good mix. What? Oh, and she's your daughter.
His daughter, so
Well,
yes.
say no more.
To her for the official name.
Okay.
Do we have a
Motion? Yep. I move that the board appoint Brittany Delaney as a member of the Historical Commission pending completion of conflict of interest training, social media policy signature, and being sworn in at the town clerk's office.
Second.
Okay, it has been moved and seconded to appoint, what's her name?
Brittany Delaney.
Brittany Delaney to the Historical Commission. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Vote carries unanimously. Next, we have on the agenda approval of lawn sign request for the Cultural Council.
Hi, whoa, that's loud. Jen Zaretsky, Chair of the Cultural Council. Yes, I put in a request to put 2 signs advertising our June 15th art show in the afternoon at the Millis Public Library on the Millis Public Library grounds and in front of Town Hall, please.
Okay. Any discussion?
I move that the board approve the request by the Millis Cultural Council to place lawn signs advertising their annual event at Town Hall in the Millis Public Library along Route 109 for a period of 2 weeks, starting May 21st, 2025. That's it.
Second.
Okay.
2024.
Okay.
Yes.
Jen, don't forget to remove them, like, when the event is over.
Yes.
Please. That's okay. Perfect. So, it has been moved and seconded for lawn signs for the Cultural Council. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, it carries unanimously. It's a unanimous part. Okay, now we have liaison updates. Craig?
Nothing.
I don't think I have anything either. I have something tomorrow night, but I don't think that, oh, should we just do that or no? Okay. Erin?
I went to I believe I went to a school building committee meeting.
You
Yep,
did?
I did. And it was more discussion, it's a lot of discussion about the different plans and
Avenues?
options, yep.
And what have you got? What did they discuss?
The different, yeah. The different plans that are on the table.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. I have to really think hard, but I don't think I have anything. Nothing, right?
I don't think so, since it would have been between town meeting and now.
Right,
Yeah.
okay. Now we have approval of draft minutes. Motion?
Yes, I move that the board approve the draft minutes
The dates?
did we only get one?
I have five.
Only one, yes.
Yeah,
you-
5/7,
We don't have the
okay.
5/10 is not in there, so just do the
Yep,
5/7.
I approve the draft minutes of 5/7/24 as written.
Okay. All those in favor of approving the draft minutes?
Aye.
Aye. Carries unanimously.
Do you want me to do this?
Sure.
Okay. I move that the board enter executive session to discuss strategy with respect to litigation if an open meeting may have a detrimental effect on the government's litigation position. The board will only return to open session for the purpose of adjournment. Dangerous dog litigation. You have to pull the board.
Oh, I have to poll the board. Craig?
Yes.
Erin?
Yes.
And I say yes. So it passes, and we're going to go into executive session, I guess. All
Thank
right.
you.
It's been fun.
So we can move down the hall.
Okay.
One of the rooms and close the door. So
Thank you.
everything you have.